DANDADAN by Tatsu Yukinobu is one of the most hyped manga coming out of Shonen Jump or Jump Plus, and the evidence of that is that its extremely anticipated anime that is releasing in the fall had an early screening in the form of DANDADAN First Encounter. First Encounter is a theatrical release that includes interviews from the staff and talent that worked on the series, and the first 3 episodes of the anime. I was fortunate to secure a ticket for one of these limited showings, and I'm here to tell you, you're not ready for DANDADAN. Even I'm not ready for it, because I'm sure these first 3 episodes are only scratching the surface of how wild this story gets. The only people who might be ready are the manga readers, of which I am not, but even then, with the amount of love put into this adaptation, you guys might not even be ready with how happy you'll be with it. Now that's enough waffling. Let's get into my thoughts on the movie. First, let's get into the good things. I'll tell you right now, there are a lot of good things. Just to start off, DANDADAN is absurd, but in the best way possible. It's kind of built into the premise because it's about the occult, but it goes way beyond that. I don't want to get too much into it because I'm not trying to spoil anything. I think anyone should go into this super fresh when the anime starts, unless obviously you've read the manga already. But I'll just say that this show has no interest in being tame, being limited, restricted. It's going all out from almost the first scene, and I think that really works to its advantage, making sure that you suspend your disbelief from minute 1. So there's no point in the show where you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure, this is a little far-fetched. No, the show has no interest in making you think any of this is even like partly believable. But the pace of the show, and it's super fast-paced, like extremely, like a breakneck speed, it's able to trap you in this world immediately, and it never lets you go. This show is amazing at keeping your attention. It just doesn't let up. It has moments where it feels like, oh, it might be mellowing out, slowing down, but that's all intentional, just to lull you into a sense of security, and then bam, it goes again. And that juxtaposition is very intentional, because this show yo-yos between rom-com, action, and the occult. And while that may sound like a wild contrast, and it's even wilder in execution, yet somehow, because it starts and remains so fast, you're willing to go along for the ride. And that's really held up by the voice acting. It's just flat out amazing. There's a lot of range from both of the leads, and they're able to switch the energy of a scene on a dime, which is necessary for the genre, or the blend of genres that the show occupies. Another strength of the show is that the art style is very distinct and the animation is super fluid. They're not super obsessed with keeping things super clean and refined. They're able to keep the scenes very fluid in the animations, which allow the action scenes to be super dynamic. And they were too obsessed with maintaining character models, it might become a little stiff, but because of how out there the show is with the parties involved in these battles, it's really cool to see them just go wild, go across the screen, the colors, the everything. And the show plays with color a lot, which is a lot of fun to see. In the first episode, I think in the first pretty much fight scene, when we see certain things awaken, I won't get into specifics, but it's just really well done. And then I think in the 3rd episode maybe, we have another fight scene where it's getting more and more desaturated until it pretty much becomes a black and white scene, but that really works out with what's going on and the enemy that they're fighting, and it never feels out of place. Like I almost didn't notice it until toward the end of the fight, and I was like, oh wow, we're just in black and white now. And then obviously it comes back to color at a certain point, but it's all happened super naturally, and it really fits with the tone of the show at the time. So I think they're just doing super well with being very loose and creative with that, instead of trying to maintain some sort of strictness. And something else that's really good is the music. The music just works, and the opening especially is a banger. They're definitely trying to capitalize on the success of Mashall's opening with the bling bong bong bong, and they brought back Creepy Nuts for this one, and it's another Jersey beat bop. You know, they knew it worked, and they brought it back, and it worked here again. I think they actually incorporated it with the title of the show super well. Once you hear it, you know exactly what I mean. It's a banger. I think it's out there maybe on YouTube if you look for it as well. It's not out officially, I don't think yet, but it's super good. I was definitely looking for it. I think the characters that we're introduced to so far are very vibrant and they feel alive. They kind of drop you in the middle of a very important event for one of the characters, and it makes you feel like you know this character already. And then throughout the first 3 episodes, they did well incorporating fast flashbacks, and you might think, oh, maybe this is happening a bit fast, but because the entire show is fast, it just makes sense, and it helps you to warm to these characters extremely quickly, and as they warm to each other as well. And there's some fun little coincidences and kind of things that are kind of silly, but they work within the context of the show to create a very fun atmosphere that you're willing to buy into. And also, this show is genuinely funny, but fair warning, it's very crude in its humor. It's definitely a show for degenerates, which makes sense because the author was an assistant for Chainsaw Man's author, and you can see the influence. But this show might be even more degen off rip, so I wouldn't make this the first show you introduce to a new anime fan. You gotta slowly make them descend, start them off with AOT, then you can go to like a JJK, then a Chainsaw Man, then you could bring them to a DANDADAN. By then they're fully, they're off the deep end. Most importantly, something that was really cool, that was unique to the movie version that you will not get with the show version, although I'm sure these will go out on YouTube or something at some point, were the interviews with the main VAs, the original author and the editor, and the director for the show. They were shown before the episodes, and those give a lot of insight into the process behind the production, and you can tell that they really enjoyed making this product and were proud of it, which was extremely inspiring as someone who hopes to be in their position one day. Now, to get onto the negatives, generally I try to be honest and say when there's something I'm not feeling about a series, but I just genuinely had a great time with this one. To be fair, it's only the first 3 episodes, so anything can happen from here on out, but of course, they're going to want to leave the best first impression possible, especially if they're willing to put it out in theaters. It's super fast paced like I mentioned before, but I think they weaponized that pace so well that even if something was amiss, I couldn't really notice it. And of course, I couldn't rewind as if I was watching at home, just theater experience, which might have, make me fall into the spell a little bit more, but I'm not mad at that. And I was also primed by the interviews beforehand, because one of the voice actors actually said that the viewer might not understand everything, but the charm is so overwhelming that those small details just didn't end up mattering. But overall, if you couldn't tell by now, I really enjoyed DANDADAN First Encounter. This is a raving endorsement to watch DANDADAN when it releases. I will be there no matter what. The toughest part is that I'll have to sit through the first 3 weeks of what I've already seen, but I'll be glad to be able to pause and dissect these scenes even more. And I can definitely see myself picking up the manga after season 1. It was that fun. But generally, I've probably yapped enough at this point. Thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments, were you able to catch this early screening? Or did you even hear about it? I don't know how well it was marketed. But either way, are you going to watch DANDADAN when it releases in October? As I said before, I definitely will, and I think you should too, but you might not be ready. Also, let me know if you read the manga already, and if so, your thoughts on it. No spoilers, please. I just want to know, does it get even wilder? Or am I in for a ride that I'm not even prepared for? Just let me know things like that. But if you have even 5 seconds to spare, it'd help a lot if you liked, subscribed, and all the other good stuff. There should be a new video out same time next week. See ya.